Thanks for joining Harry and I today for another one of our short educational videos. Today, Harry and I are going to revisit one of the original videos we put out, which is to review why it's important to have a financial plan. So, Harry, maybe you can tell our viewers why it's important to do financial planning.
Sure, David. There's the old saying that people don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. And I always like to compare doing your plan to actually taking a trip or a road trip. Let's say, for instance, you were driving to Boston for the first time and you'd never been to Boston before and you didn't know how to get there. Well, you're not just going to jump in your car and willy-nilly start driving and having no idea where you're going. Most of us are going to sit down, we're going to look at a physical map or maybe Google in this case, and we're going to plan our trip. We're going to say, okay, this is how long it's going to take. These are the stops along the way that we're going to make. We're going to stay overnight in these areas. We're going to book hotels. We're going to get everything organized so that the trip goes well and we guarantee that we get to the destination that we want. Your plan's the same thing. If you're building your plan, it allows you to make sure that you get to the goals that you want, that there's no surprises along the way, and it basically guarantees you the success that you're looking for. Is financial planning misunderstood at all?
I think, yes, probably financial planning is a bit misunderstood. According to a recent study that Investors Group Wealth Management put out, of 1,500 survey respondents, 80% of those respondents thought that financial planning had entirely to do with portfolio management. So just basically your investments. And it's true that financial planning, a central component of your financial plan is your investment portfolio and how that relates to funding your future financial goals like retirement. Obviously, the rate of return that you're going to get on your portfolio is a central assumption in your financial plan. But holistic financial planning is about so much more than just your investment management or portfolio management. It's about budgeting. It's about debt management. It's about tax planning, estate planning. And all of those things put together is really what financial planning is about in conjunction with your investments.
David, how can engaging with a financial planner help?
It's a good question, Harry. Many people, I think, tend to have a pretty relaxed attitude when it comes to reaching their financial goals, or their financial goals might be quite abstract. A lot of people have an overarching goal of wanting to retire one day, but they don't actually put down on paper to say, hey, I want to be able to retire when I'm 62. They just sort of assume that naturally things will take care of themselves, it will work out, and when they turn 62, they'll be able to retire. And working with a financial planner really helps in this, take the abstract to something more concrete. Being able to actually put down on paper to say, hey, here's where I want to be at this age, and then being able to figure out exactly what it is that you need to do to get there. Harry, how often should you update your financial plan?
That's a good question, David. I prefer every 2 years. I think every 2 years is a good timeline. Obviously, there's no exact time frame what you should, but you definitely should if anything major has happened in your life. Let's say you got married, you had a child, you inherited some money, you got a big promotion at work. All of these larger changes, I would say, would warrant an immediate update of your financial plan. And let me give you a little example of why. Let's pretend that I got this big raise and I suddenly started earning $30,000 more a year. And I didn't plan that at all. I just started getting this money and just started spending more money. And we had sat down and looked at the plan before and said, okay, you need this much money to be able to allow you to maintain your current standard of living. Well, now that your income's gone up $30,000 and you suddenly are just spending all that extra money, really what's happened is that you've increased your standard cost of living and you're getting used to spending a lot more money than you used to. And what happens is if you haven't told your planner and you haven't updated your plan, the planner still assumes you're making the same amount of money and has continued along moving you on the same plan. You get to retirement and now you're trying to live on the same amount of money that you were before, and you just can't do it. That example, a little long-winded, but it does give you a sort of an understanding of why it's so important whenever something major happens in your life to update your plan.
Yeah, 100%. I like to I call that lifestyle creep. And, that's one thing where people start making more money, whether they're a business owner and they're starting to be a little bit more successful. If you don't actually tuck away some of those increased earnings, like you said, Harry, you just, that's great to treat yourself in that moment. But if you don't plan to put some of it aside, you'll be behind the 8 ball when it comes to your retirement. So that's a good point. But as always, if any of you have any questions when it comes to your financial plan, or if it's been a little while since we've updated one for you, please feel free to give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. And have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday, everyone.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday. Take care.